Hey, good morning, fifth graders. Miss O here. Happy Thursday. I'm recording this video just in case my internet has been terrible this morning, and I really want to make sure that you get today's work done. So, of course, Max says good morning. And let's go ahead and get started. So today is Thursday, January 14th. Your learning targets I can review, controlled experiments. Applies, you don't need a whole lot today. Just planner, pencil, and science notebook. Now for your task today, you are going to open up a Pear Deck. So it's going to be a student-paced Pear Deck, so you can open it up. And really what today's goal is to review critiquing experiments, looking at something, is it fair, is it not so fair? So yesterday we talked about a peer reviewer. So what question does a peer reviewer ask when looking at a paper? I want you to choose your option A, B, C, or D as your question of the day. Then this is really the slide I really wanted to explain before we kind of dive into your work for the day. So things to ask yourself when you are reading about an experiment, when you are looking at an experiment, you should start to ask yourself these questions. And these are ones I actually want you to write in your notebook. So you can put at the top of your notebook experiment questions and then make this little checklist. On the Pear Deck, you can just draw a little check mark in each of the boxes when you are done writing. So think to yourself, what is their independent variable? What are they changing? What are they trying to figure out? Is there only one thing that the scientists changed? Did they run enough trials? Was there peer review? Did they collect enough data? Does their conclusion match what their data tells them? And then lastly, was there anything that might have interfered with the experiment? Anything that might have made it not fair? So please make sure you get all of these added into your notebook. Now, when you are looking at an experiment, you're starting to ask yourself these things. You might have to think about some things that aren't openly stated in the directions, in the description of the assignment. So for example, one of the ones that we kind of struggled with, I re-put back in this slide actually as kind of a test to see if we're growing, if we're learning, if we can look at it more in depth. So a lot of our instructions and when they explain things, remember those are snorkel level questions like Miss Mateka says. They kind of are at the surface, easy to understand, but some of them are going to be scuba questions, right? So you might have to think a little bit outside the box. Is there anything else that could be changing in this experiment? The next couple slides, I want you to go over, you'll recognize a few of these hopefully, a few of our old response sheets. And these are the ones that are going to be really similar to test questions on your Quizzy Poo next week. So again, Wednesday, you've got your little Quizzy Poo, just a question or two. That's going to be very similar to something like this. Okay, so again, a student wanted to know what would happen in the pendulum experiment if he changed the way he made the pendulum. So instead of using string, he used fishing line and to make it the standard 38 centimeters long. And then he used a washer at the end for the pendulum bob. Then he counted how many times it swung back and forth in 15 seconds. Was this a controlled experiment? Why or why not? So type in your response there. Make sure you really answer this why or why not. I shouldn't just see a one-word answer there. Your next one was about boats. So remember here we had the student was wondering how the shape affects its ability to carry passengers. So she made 4 different boats. Here's the size of the aluminum foil before making it into a boat. Here are the 4 different shapes she tested. And then here's how many passengers it needed to sink. And so is this one a controlled experiment? So go through that checklist, ask yourself those questions. What's her independent variable? Did she only change one thing at a time? Did she run enough trials? All of those questions that we kind of continue to ask ourselves. If you said no, what would you do the same? And what would you do differently in order to test this? Again, not a one-word response. It should take you a little bit of time, a couple sentences. This last familiar one is about the ice cream one. This is one where you really have to think about your your scuba questions. You're going to have to dig a little bit underneath the surface. So here again is your experiment, right, with the ice cream. One's inside, one's outside. He's testing to see if light makes a difference. So he leaves one outside overnight, the other one inside on the kitchen table underneath the light. My question to you is, was Billy's conclusion correct? What could he change to make this a fair experiment? So what could be different between inside and outside that maybe Billy didn't think about, especially overnight, especially on a day like today? So maybe think about the weather a little bit. Now, lastly, I wanted to give you a new one. And of course, I made it about science because it's the best class. Does studying help your science grade? It says Jim and Susie wanted to know if studying helped their science grade. Good question, Jim and Susie. They set up an experiment the night before a test. So Susie studied for 1 hour and Jim studied for 10 hours. He stayed up until 3 in the morning studying for the test. The next day, Susie scored a 3 on her test. Jim scored a 2. Aha, Susie says, studying does not help your science grade. Was her conclusion correct? Why or why not? So again, kind of think about what else could affect your science grade. Think about our conversation about humans yesterday and how humans are so different from each other before you type your response there. Again, a couple sentences is what I'm looking for. Now, tomorrow, Friday, you have science work to complete. Please don't forget to get it done. It is going to be an ed puzzle. It's about 12 minutes with questions within it. So again, watch the ed puzzle all the way through, answer the questions as they pop up. If you are not done with your choice experiment, I need you to get that done like now. I'm going to be grading them on Friday, so please make sure they're done. I really don't want to have to email your parents about anything over the weekend, so please make sure you get it done and turned in. Again, that's under Tuesday's assignment. So you can go to week 17 under Tuesday. Now, just for fun, I want you to draw a picture for me on the next slide. So I just left some space here for you to draw a picture using the drawing tools on Pear Deck. So again, this Pear Deck link will be in Google Classroom for you. Really what we're looking at is reevaluating our experiments. Were they good? Were they not so good? Why or why not? Use that checklist that you just wrote in your notebook or you're about to write in your notebook to go through each experiment. Think a little bit deeper, think a little bit outside the box about, is this fair? What could be affecting this experiment? And hopefully now that we've had some weeks of experiments and then you had your own choice experiment, you're starting to see that there's a lot of different things that could impact experiments as they're being done. So again, this is in case my internet goes out. So I apologize. It's been kind of rough this morning. So we'll see. Otherwise, Pear Deck, get it done. Choice experiment. And tomorrow you will do your ed puzzle. So it should be a nice, easy Friday. Have a wonderful day. Bye.